Here.
Weed.
Here.
And Gunther.
Here. Director Huang, will you lead us in the salute this evening?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to item public comments. A member of the public like to comment on anything this evening that is not upon the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent calendar. Would any of the directors like to add any items onto this consent calendar for this evening?
I move to add items 5.1 through 5.8 to the consent calendar.
And I will second that motion.
Motion second. Comments, questions?
Directors Huang,
Aye.
Akbari,
Aye.
Sethy,
Aye.
Weed,
Aye.
and Gunther.
Aye. Moving on.
I will make the motion to adopt the consent calendar as amended.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, Director Sethy, thank you.
We're going to fight over it.
Directors Huang,
Aye.
Akbari,
Aye.
Sethy,
Aye.
Weed,
Aye.
and Gunther.
Aye. Okay. I believe we're going to say 5-9 at the moment.
Yes, thank you, President Gunther. 5.9 is a bittersweet item. It involves the retirement of Eric Nordine, and our Manager of Operations and Maintenance, Kurt Arends, will introduce us to this item.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Good evening, President Gunther, members of the board. I'm very excited that as my first official board action and board activity, I get to recognize Eric for his achievements over the last 30 years. I'd like to provide a brief synopsis of his history here and some of his background. Eric began his career at the district as a Gardener 1 on October 30th, 1989. Eric's prior knowledge and experience prepared him to take on special projects and was promoted to a Gardener 2 in May of 1994. A little over a year, Eric became utility worker in the Distribution Maintenance Division, repairing water mains and replacing service lines to maintain the water distribution system. On September 9th, 1997, Eric was promoted to Utility Worker 2, leading a crew and responding to emergency main and service line breaks, as well as helping to train new utility workers. Eric's knowledge of the system helped him become a crew leader in the district's service line replacement program, replacing service lines within the distribution system to ensure the district's customers had a reliable water service. Eric was promoted to Utility Worker 3 in September of 2003, and a year later, Eric became a large valve operator. So Eric is retiring with almost 30 years of experience as the most senior water utility, or Senior Utility Worker 3, as responsible for maintaining and restoring service to thousands of our customers over the last 30 years. He'll be greatly missed by his friends and coworkers, and I'd like to congratulate Eric on his service to the district.
So the recommendation this evening is by motion, adopt the resolution honoring Eric Nordine and expressing appreciation for his years of service to the district.
Director, comments?
Oh, sorry this in. Well, thank you for your service. I mean, we have one of the better, more attractive and better maintained facilities in the area for all the various districts, and the service line replacement program was epic. We had a major effort, a major failure, and it was well done. So again, thank you for your service.
Eric, thank you for your commitment to ACWD. You may not know this, but my father served most of his career here at the Water District, so beginning in the early 60s. So I grew up as a Water District kid, and I understand how it impacts your family, your kids, the community around you. And so with a lot of appreciation, I say thank you.
Well, I think it is quite bittersweet that that you're retiring after 30 long years. I think it's a testament to the abilities that you have and the work that you put in, that you're able to progress on and become the most senior person in your department. And so I think that's something that you can be quite proud of, and I congratulate you on your retirement.
I just want to say thank you for serving our district so well in your 30 years of service. I think your career progression at ACWD show your drive and your wish to serve our customers. That's definitely really appreciated by the board. I would like to say personally, when I talk to our utility workers, I don't recall you ever having been in a board meeting, talk to us in this format, but I have been talking to our utility workers. I know all of you represent us so well as a district to our customers. I probably have not talked to you specifically out on the street, but you know what? Every question I have asked is always answered appropriately and willingly and wonderfully by all the workers I have met, all the utility workers. And I am pretty sure you're one of those special people that represents us so well and serve the customers. 30 years is a long time at the district. I am sure you have a lot of friends here that will really miss you and miss your knowledge. So what I usually said, I wish we could download your knowledge somehow and just kind of like package up your brain and all your knowledge so we could have that continuity. You'll be sorely missed, and to your family, thank you. The Water District does ask a lot from the family from time to time, especially when we have emergencies. So thank you to you also. Have a great retirement. Enjoy the next step in your life, stage in your life. Do something wonderful, and you never ever have to deal with the boring directors ever again. That's the great part.
And finally, thank you so much. 30 years, some people say it's long. Sometimes it's short. And I'd just like to say, it's always tough to see people retire. Oh my God, what are we going to do? He's been here 30 years. You know what? You earned it, and enjoy it. That's all I could say really is just enjoy it. For gosh sakes, you've earned it. And we'll get by. We'll find, there'll be another guy that we'll be able to. Hopefully we'll get by.
I hope so.
It's going to be tough, but it's okay because you deserve it. And so I'd like to, would you like to say anything in the meeting tonight? I don't know if I've actually ever spoken to you on the street either. I know I have met. We might have. I'm kind of feeling a little underdressed. That's true. If you've seen me on the street, you're not underdressed.
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to...
Would you like to come up to the podium?
The meetings are recorded, and posterity needs to hear your thoughts.
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve in the Water District and our community. It's been a privilege, and it'll be in my heart forever. I just want to thank you.
Thank you so much. We do have a plaque for you too.
Yeah. Yeah, take the photo.
I think we still need to adopt.
Oh, we need to adopt the resolution.
Right.
Oh, hey, we gave him the plaque and we haven't voted.
Yeah, there's still an opportunity to pull it back. No, that means an extra 5 years.
I will happily make the motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay. Director Huang?
Aye.
Akbari?
Aye.
Sethy?
Aye.
Weed?
Aye.
And Gunther.
Thank you.
Aye, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
So this is when you can leave if you'd like.
You're welcome to stay.
You can stay if
You can stay. We've got a public hearing coming up. You might find that thrilling. Thank you.
Good night.
Item 510.
Item 510. Okay, moving on to item 510.
Okay, 510, thank you, President Gunther, involves a public hearing to receive comments on the draft Alameda County Water District report on water quality relative to public health goals 2016 to 2018. And again, Mr. Ahrens will be leading us in this item.
Thank you very much. Good evening. We will have a brief staff presentation. Do we want to open the public hearing prior to the presentation, or do we just want to go ahead and...
We can do the staff presentation.
Okay. I would like to introduce Cynthia Ha, Environmental Engineer with the Water Production Division. We also have Production Manager Mike Wickham and Engineering Supervisor Chris Pena available in the audience to help answer any questions. And I'll ask Cynthia now to give a brief presentation that will summarize the report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Cynthia Ha. Tonight, I'm going to present the Public Health Goals Report for the water quality data collected between 2016 and 2018. So, California Health and Safety Code requires utilities have more than 10,000 service connections, detect any water quality measurements above the public health goals or the maximum contaminant level goals in the past 3 years have to prepare a special report and hold a public hearing. So before I go into the report, I want to explain a few key definitions that we use in the report. The first one is the public health goals. Public health goals is a non-enforceable goals. It's established by Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment. It's considered health risk to be no more than 1 in a million cancer case for people who drink 2 liters water per day over the 70-year lifetime, and based solely on public health risk regardless of treatment feasibility or cost. The next one is maximum contaminant level goal, which is the federal equivalent of PHGs. It's also non-enforceable goals established by U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. MCLG is mostly set at 0, which is very conservative and sometimes is not, may not be achievable. So the next one is maximum contaminant level and action level, which is very different from PHGs and MCLG. Maximum contaminant level are enforceable standard, which set at the highest level of a contaminant that's allowed in drinking water. MCL are set as closest to MCLG as feasible using the best available treatment technology and taking cost into consideration. Action level is the 90th percentile value. If exceed, it will trigger treatment or other requirement that a water system has to follow. The content of the PHG report. PHG report is a triennial report in addition to the Consumer Confidence Report, which is also known as Annual Water Quality Report. It identified constituents exceeding the PHGs or MCLGs in 2016 to 2018, identify health risks associated with the constituents, and describe the best available technology for removing the constituents. So of more than 100 PHGs or MCLG that's established, only 3 were exceeded. So the table summarized the constituents that exceed the PHG and MCLG in the past 3 years. The first one is lead, which is detected during the 2018 lead and copper monitoring program at customer tab. So this program, we collect the samples at the home built before 1986 because lead soda was banned in 1986. And then we collect only the first draw of the sample after the water has been set in the water pipes for more than 6 hours. So we are looking for worst case scenario. So the action level for lead was set at 15 parts per billion, pHG set at 0.2 parts per billion, and we detect at the level of 5.7 parts per billion. The second constituent that was detected is bromate. It's detected at the TP2 finished water between 2016 and 2018. MCL for bromate was set at 10 parts per billion, pHG set at 0.1 ppb, and then we detect at low levels between 1.04 to 2.2 parts per billion. So the last one is Escherichia coli. So it's detected in February and June 2017 at the distribution system sampling station. So the MCLG for E. coli set at 0 positive sample, and then we have 1 positive sample was detected in each effect. So I'm going to detail for each constituent. The first one is lead. Lead was not detected in water supplied by ACWD. Lead is mainly introduced to drinking water through corrosion of internal household plumbing. Health risk for lead is neurological effects on adults and on children, and hypertensive effects on adults. So this graph shows the monitoring results for the 2018 lead and copper monitoring program. So on top, we see the red line, which is the action level for lead, which set at 15 parts per billion. And the bottom shows the green line is the pHG level set at 0.2 parts per billion, and then we have the detection at 5.7 parts per billion. So it's above the pHG, but below the action level. So the best available technology for lead control is optimized corrosion control, and then we have the optimal corrosion control program in place since 1999. So pH adjust in the finished water, and also calcium carbonate precipitation potential is an index to monitor the corrosivity of the water. Since ACWD is achieving optimal corrosion control and continues to meet the action level for lead, no additional corrosion control treatment is recommended at this time. Other ACWD activity to help the customer to reduce lead at their drinking water. ACWD has, in 1999, we had installed a special epoxy coating in the compound meter for the public elementary school, middle school, and high school. And we only install lead-free meters since 1999. And ACWD also have public education program to educate the customer who has concern of lead at their drinking water. We educate them to flush the tap before consumption if the water has been sitting in the pipe for more than 6 hours, and using cold water for cooking, drinking, and preparing baby formulas.
I have a quick question here on that slide. If we've been installing lead-free meters since '99 and then replacing old ones, what would you guess is the percentage of meters that still have lead content in them?
You mean like percent of the meter? Has
Yeah, the installed base of meters.
I don't have the answer.
Doctor, that's an excellent question. I'm not sure what the percentage of remaining meters that were installed prior to 1999 are, but that's something.
Yeah, we have about 84,500 meters or so. We can get that data for you, and we'll provide it to the full board.
Wasn't it our practice to replace the meters on a schedule of less than 20 years?
It's about a 20-year cycle, although
Switch them
we have interrupted that over the last few years since the drought. We have a meter replacement item on the agenda this evening because our inventory is run low and we have a lot of new development in which meters need to be installed.
Right. But in any case, it would be, given that we'd have that cycle, or whatever it was, 15 to 20 years, we would have run through, at least come very close to running through the entire cycle.
Correct.
So it'd be a very small percentage of...
I don't want to speculate because we did interrupt the meter replacement program, but we can get you that data.
Okay.
I think it's important to note that, however, for this item, we're looking at these lead levels were measured at the tap. So most likely the contribution is from the home plumbing and not from our meter. So our meter would play a really
Correct.
small part in this.
So since 2017, ACWD has provided assistance to eligible schools to test their drinking water for lead under the Water Supply Permit Amendment and Senate Bill 746. So ACWD has no known lead surface line, and Senate Bill 1398 by July 1st, 2018, ACWD has confirmed about 85% out of 82,000 surface lines, and no lead surface line were discovered. And ACWD will continue investigate all the surface line in the distribution system by 2020, July 1st. And if any lead surface line were discovered, we will develop a plan to replace them. So the next constituent that exceed the PHG is bromate. Bromate is the byproduct from the ozonation process, and unique to TB2 because this is the only treatment plant has ozone for meeting the disinfection requirements and health control taste and odor. The health risk for bromate is probable carcinogen to human. PHG for bromate set at 0.1 parts per billion, MCL set at 10 parts per billion, and then we have low level detection between 1.04 to 2.2 parts per billion. And bromate formation was mainly associated with the variation of the bromide levels in our source water. So this diagram shows the bromide levels in the source water between 2016 and 2018. You can see that the green bar shows the range of the bromides, and the blue line shows the average bromide levels. And so in 2016 and 2018, the bromide levels, average bromide level in source water is about double of the average bromide levels of 2017. So it associated with the bromate level too. So this diagram shows the bromate between 2016 and 2018. The red line shows the MCL for bromate set at 10 parts per billion, and then the green line at the bottom shows the PHG level set at 0.1 parts per billion. The blue triangle means the bromate was non-detected during those quarters. And then the blue bar shows the levels of detection between 1.04 to 2.2. So you can see that bromate was detected above the PHG but well below the MCL. So the best available technology for bromate control considered by Division of Drinking Water and EPA is control of treatment process. So ACWD currently has two primary bromate control strategies: pH suppression and pre-chlorination ahead of ozonation. Bromate was non-detected in 5 out of 12 quarters between 2016 and 2018, which demonstrate that bromate control strategy is very effective, and only low levels of bromate were detected during that time. So
I have another question real quick. Does bromate cause an odor problem that's detectable?
Bromate doesn't cause odor problem. Ozone help control the taste and odor, and ozone is the one that causes bromate. The combination of the ozone and the bromide and that produce bromate. But bromate doesn't cause taste and odor.
If it's too high, does it affect the taste of the water?
I don't believe so. Yeah.
I think the conditions that lead to high bromate formation frequently are the same conditions that lead to taste and odor issues. Where you have high organics in the source water, in our case the delta, which sometimes leads to sort of algae formation, which is usually the cause of the taste and odor issues that we have. But also, because it's more brackish and there's more salt like bromide in the water, you tend to form bromates.
The reason I'm asking is because I vaguely remember that the Irvington Water Company had a lot of issues with high bromates in their water, and so many people in the Irvington community complaining. and petitioning ACWD to be acquired, that they finally did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a real serious issue in that part of the community decades ago.
Yeah. Paul, and there was a number of years ago, Wadlow, I think, was still in Santa Clara, when the bromate issue came up as a scare that it was resulting in spontaneous abortions and or spontaneous miscarriages. So that study came and went, fortunately, but it was never substantiated. But it was a Santa Clara-based study, which made it all the more challenging.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. ACWD activity to help reducing bromate formation, as we mentioned before, pH suppression has begun since 2002. Prequamination has begun since 2011. So the last constituent that exceeds the MCLG is the Escherichia coli. So every month, over 200 bacteriological samples were were collected in the distribution system, and E. coli positive sample was detected in February 2017 and June 2017. So in February 2017, one positive E. coli sample was detected over 208 routine samples collected. And June 2017, we have one positive sample collected during out of 220 routine samples collected. And all follow-up samples, up and downstream samples, and groundwater source sample were negative. And for both events, corn residual was very healthy, above 2 ppm, and also for the up and downstream sampling stations. And for both events, investigation showed that there's no treatment upset, no work were done in the immediate area. So the MCLG set at 0 positive sample, and then we have one positive sample detected in each event. So we exceed the MCLG, but we are in full compliance. So the health risk for E. coli, it can cause diarrhea, cramps, nausea, headaches, and then E. coli can also cause a special health risk for infants, young children, and people with severely compromised immune system. So the best available technology for E. coli control is to maintain an effective disinfectant residual. ACWD apply chloramines in the finished water before delivering to customer to assure that the water is safe to drink. And chloram residual are carefully monitored in the treatment process to make sure that it provides the best health protection. At the same time, it doesn't cause taste and odor issue or increase the level of disinfection byproduct. Another best available technology that we have in place at ACWD include active main cleaning program, regular reservoir cleaning program, effective cross-connection control program, and maintaining positive water pressure in the distribution system, and protection of wells from microbiological contamination. And in order to collect bacteriological sample that represent our water quality in the distribution system, we review and update sampling protocols and practice. We regularly provide refresher training for staff that collect samples, review and update sampling station inspection program, and also implement proactive maintenance or replacement program for all the sampling stations. In summary, the recommendation that we have in the PHG report, including maintaining optimum corrosion control program for lead control, continue the public education program to help customers to reduce lead at their tap if they have concern, through our ACWD website and our publication, and continue practicing prequamination as our key bromate control strategies, and to minimize the risk of having E. coli positive in the distribution system, we are going to maintain effective disinfectant residual and continue to practice all best available technologies. That's all I have for today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So, are there any board questions first? It's up to you. I can summarize the item, and then we can do public comments, and then we can do board.
Yeah, because it's a public hearing, we'll hold the questions off. So I'd like to then go ahead and close the public hearing if we can.
Well, we should just take care of a little official business to for the record, and thank you, Ms. Ha. As Ms. Ha has been explaining, the California Health and Safety Code Section 116470 requires the district to write a draft report titled Alameda County Water District Report on Water Quality relative to public health goals 2016 through 18, and staff has done that. And the purpose of the public health goal report is to inform consumers of constituents in their drinking water that exceeded either a state public health goal or a federal maximum contaminant level goal during calendar years 2016, 2017, and 18. The public health goal report is intended to provide the public with water quality information beyond what is included in the annual Consumer Confidence Report. The statute also requires the board to hold a public hearing and to accept and respond to public comments to the public health goal report. Any public comments received during the public hearing shall be responded to in the final public health goal report. Notice of the public hearing was placed in the Argus, the Tri-City Voice, and the district's website. The Public Health Goal Report was also reviewed with the Operations and Water Quality Committee on June 5th. So with that, I think it's appropriate to request public comments.
Okay, for the record, I will request public comments, and there are no public participating this evening. Do we have any written public comments to the report?
No.
And there are no written reports as well. Prior to closing the public hearing, as there are no comments for public members, I would like to point out for future reference to anybody who is watching this evening that the public hearings normally do have a 5-minute limit to your speaking. Sometimes it's less depending on the size of the audience. I just wanted to let anybody know that is because there are rules set for public hearings that because there's no comments this evening, we're going to forego with the rules. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead then and close the public hearing for director comments.
None. I have a comment.
Go ahead.
A question,
Comments, public hearing's been closed.
Public hearing's closed, which is fine. And last year, we had issues with toxic algae coming down the South Bay Aqueduct, and we were challenged in meeting our taste and odor. We were stayed within the federal and state criteria, MCLs, but did not meet our own district criteria. Did we encounter that this year and this summer, or toxic algae issues with the South Bay Aqueduct?
So, so for taste and odor, so algae toxin, we have EPA has the notification level for it. It is not required the water system to monitor it for now, but we are proactive. ACWD, we proactive monitor the microcystin, the algotoxin weekly during summer. So we are proactively doing that, and then we have not seen any detection yet. So
this summer, as opposed to last summer, we don't have the algae issue with the South Bay Aqueduct.
So in terms of algotoxin, we don't have any detection in our source water. But like if you talk about the taste and odor, we monitor that, and then we have seen once in a while in summer we have taste and odor issues. We monitor the geosmin level and the MIB level.
So even with the ozone, we have had issues with taste and odor. Still within our state requirements, but I guess the key was, this year did we experience taste and odor issues that violated or that were exceeded our own district guidelines?
Do you want to go?
No, Director, we did not. This year, the geosmin levels were low enough that our ozone was effective at eliminating all taste and odors.
Okay, thank you.
You know, I would like to make one quick comment. There was a a well-broadcast news story that was circulating on most of the television stations in the Bay Area about problems in the well water in the Central Valley, where in the community of Ripon, where the Nestle plant is. And for decades, Nestle was processing decaffeinated coffee, and they were decaffeinating it with certain chemicals that they were discharging into their local waterways, and it was percolating down into the groundwater supply. So I received just recently a number of consumer complaints. They're all from the Union City area, one small community, where I'll pass it along to staff. I was hoping we could provide a response because it seemed to start a flash discussion on their next door neighborhood. One of the lead scientists at UCSF apparently pitched in, and also one from Stanford, and said ACWD has, you know, all these poisons and chemicals in the water. I'll let you read it, because I think it deserves a response. And this is from responsible people in the scientific community. And so my initial response back to them was, please check out our water quality reports that we post. But I'll pass those along.
We'll be happy to look
Yeah.
at what the issue is.
It's absolute nonsense.
Yeah, I might have seen the same thing. I'm not sure. It may have been from Fairview Park. I think that may have been related to Hayward, but I'm not 100% sure.
No, this is all around, across from the open land space over there, that part of Union City, the newer homes.
Okay. See it.
Oh, I'll forward the news broadcast too, because I checked them out.
Surprised anybody, I'm not a big advocate of the lead copper rule, requiring a government agency to go into somebody's home has always been an issue with me. The other problem I have with these reports is, I have to say this really for the record, is misinterpretation. I mean, we had 3 little strikes on this thing, and if I'm not mistaken, we've been called out on our 3 little strikes. And they're not even strikes. Yeah, the pitcher didn't even pitch the ball. That's my concern with this. It's a great program. Very valuable data. But this is laws passed for people that are going to follow the laws. Flint, Michigan. Did they follow this? No. Did anything happen? Yes, every water district across the country got blamed because we were responsible. Our staff does a terrific job. Wonderful job. This report shows it. It shows what we do. It shows how well we care. I just get angry when I see a misinterpretation, not a misinterpretation, it's a deliberate interpretation of this report to make us look bad. I don't know what went on next door. I'm glad I didn't see it, because I would have been really upset. It bothers me that it was in Union City, because there's nothing wrong. And there's this flash of, oh my God. I did see something on there about something, but I didn't think it was in Union City. But anyway, thank you to the staff. I think they've done a terrific job. I'll try to be calm when I see the misinterpretation show up. The betting man, I'll say it will. Somebody will use this. There'll be a map on Facebook showing all the terrible things in the water across the country, or some report, or some company trying to get you to buy bottled water or filters. It'll be there. That's what I wanted to say for the public tonight in the record, that disgusts me. Great law, well-meaning, and has been used so improperly by certain people. I just hope it won't be used again, but I know it will. And how do you defend a great study like this? A small, 10-minute presentation. What you're going to have on there is a one-line, 30-second maybe, with no opportunity to even respond. So staff, terrific job. Keep it up. We just have to keep it up and keep up the good fight. And the further comments, I guess we'll close the public hearings closed and accept the report.
Yeah, no board action is required except to hold the public hearing and accept the report, which you have done.
And I'll accept the report and we will move on.
Okay, item 511 involves the authorization to amend the Water Efficient Landscape Rebate Program. And I will ask our Manager of Water Resources, Ms. Heides, to bring us through this item.
Thank you, Mr. Shaver. The district's Water Efficient Landscape or Well Rebate Program currently offers 50 cents per square foot to commercial, industrial, and institutional homeowners associations and multifamily residential customers who replace their lawn with water-efficient plants. Single-family residential customers are not currently included in this program, and since late 2015 have been referred to a Department of Water Resources program, which has now been suspended. Staff is proposing to amend the Well Rebate Program for fiscal year 2019-20 to offer rebates to single-family residential customers at $1 per square foot and raise the rebate amount for commercial, industrial, HOA, and multifamily residential customers from 50 cents a square foot to $1 per square foot for consistency amongst all district customer classes and to align with similar programs throughout the region. There is sufficient funding in the fiscal year 2019-20 budget to support this program. The Well Rebate Program and proposed changes were reviewed with the Water Resources and Conservation Committee on June 26, 2019. Board authorization to amend this rebate program will help meet the district's Strategic Goal 2.1, maintain and enhance the sustainability and reliability of local and regional water supplies. So the recommendation tonight is by motion, authorize the General Manager to set rebate amounts for the Water Efficient Landscape Rebate Program for fiscal year 2019-20 to include single-family residential customers at a $1 per square foot rebate amount and raise the rebate amount for commercial, industrial, institutional, homeowners association, and multifamily residential customers from 50 cents per square foot to $1 per square foot. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any. I was satisfied with the committee presentation.
Comments, questions?
I have no comment.
I have no comments. I have a staff recommendation. Do we have a
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
motion and second?
Directors Huang,
Aye.
Akbari,
Aye.
Sethy,
Aye.
Weed,
Aye.
and Gunther.
Aye. Moving on, item 5.12.
Okay, 5.12 involves the authorization of a purchase order to Pump Repair Services Company for Byron Jackson submersible pumping equipment. This is a relatively standard transactional item, but involves a significant amount of money. So leading us through this item will be Mr. Ahrens.
Thank you, Mr. Shaver. The district currently owns and operates 9 submersible groundwater well pump assemblies in the Mallory and Peralta Tyson well fields, and has standardized on Byron Jackson for submersible pumping equipment. At the district's request, Pump Repair Services Company, the sole authorized distributor for Byron Jackson, Northern California, has submitted rates for services, equipment, labor, and markup of purchased equipment. Authorization of a purchase order provides staff the ability to access services and materials in the event of a pump failure or malfunction. But I want to point out it does not obligate the district to spend the full amount authorized. Board approval of this item will assist the district in achieving its Strategic Goal 1.1, effectively manage and maintain our infrastructure to ensure reliability. Recommendation tonight is by motion to authorize the general manager to enter an agreement with Pump Repair Service Company for sales and service of Byron Jackson submersible pumping equipment for an amount not to exceed $600,000 over the 3-year period, starting in fiscal year 2019-20 through fiscal year 2021-22. That equates to about $200,000 per year.
Just a quick comment. I noted on a City of Fremont City Council agenda several weeks ago that they had 2 contracts, each for $750,000 for well and well maintenance efforts, $1.5 million. Well, that gives them obviously the $8 an acre foot. Water is an attractive attraction there, but encourage you to to check with some of these other agencies in the area that are also getting services on wells and pumps, and see if there might be some way to coordinate those activities.
Thank you.
No, I'll make a motion to move the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
No other questions.
Mrs. Huang?
Aye.
Akbari?
Aye.
Sethy?
Aye.
Ween?
Aye.
And Gunther?
Aye.
Board committee report.
Board committee reports?
Staff wasn't planning on making any presentations related to board committees, but we're available to respond to any questions.
Nothing from me.
Okay. 6.2, operational reports. Similarly, staff wasn't planning on making any presentations, but it is the quarterly projects review. So if board members are interested in getting updates on some of the major capital projects, that information is in there.
I did notice that the water continues to be very soft, extremely soft in South Fremont. And I knew we were doing maintenance work at TP2, but I thought that was done back in May. So why is the water still so soft?
A lot of it is the water coming in from the South Bay Aqueduct. The Delta water is still pretty good quality because of the snow melt, still keeping it fresh, so it hasn't picked up all those minerals. So it's just good base water quality that we're dealing with still.
That makes a lot of sense. I was in Rio Vista just a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't believe how high the water was still. You know, earlier in the spring it was just about entering town. It was creeping into town near their city hall. But 2 weeks ago, I mean, it was brim full. I just couldn't believe that. Never seen it that way in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, a lot of snow this year.
Wonderful snow. I'm actually a little surprised that we haven't seen more flooding this year.
Yeah.
I'd also like to comment on the hardness report. It looks great. For the viewing public, if you're ever interested in the hardness, it's a report all the way at the end. A great report. And the staff has done a terrific job. And yeah, Truckee River's running high too, as was a couple of weeks ago, Merced.
Mm-hmm.
There's still snow up in the hills. Not a lot.
Yeah.
Considering it was 80 degrees up there, or higher in Reno, there's still snow on the mountains. Okay, moving on.
We have no staff presentations, but we do have a few general managers report items. And Ms. Heides has a couple of items that she would like to inform you about this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Shaver. The first update is on the Delta Conveyance project. On May 2nd, DWR withdrew proposed permits for the Water Fix project and began pursuing a new environmental review and planning process for a single tunnel solution to modernize Delta Conveyance, consistent with the Governor's executive order. As stated by the California Natural Resources Agency, the project is needed to protect water supplies from sea level rise and saltwater intrusion into the Delta, as well as earthquake risks. Additionally, it will be designed to protect water supply reliability while limiting impacts on local delta communities and fish. Following suit, on July 24th, DWR and the state water contractors began a very public process to negotiate proposed amendments to the State Water Project water supply contracts. The proposed amendments will describe how the costs and benefits of a delta conveyance facility, including capital costs and operating costs, would be allocated among state water contractors, as well as other financial and water management matters. The public negotiation process is expected to result in an agreement in principle among DWR and the state water contractors that addresses cost allocation and other matters that will be the basis of a contract amendment if a project is approved and after environmental review. After that, the next steps will include environmental analysis of the proposed amendments and of the underlying delta conveyance facility itself in accordance with CEQA, as well as the actual contract amendment language. District staff is participating in this public process along with the other state water contractors. 2 sessions have been held to date. As the negotiations progress, staff anticipates providing periodic updates to the Water Resources and Conservation Committee and returning to the board once an agreement in principle is available for the board's consideration, expected this fall. So that's all I have on that particular item. Should I move to the next one, Mr. Shaver?
Yes, please.
Okay. The next brief update is on the California Water Resilience Portfolio Initiative. Following the Governor's executive order, the state has launched a Water Resilience Portfolio Initiative and is requesting input from the public on how the state can meet its water supply or its water needs for generations to come. The portfolio will integrate and build on programs, policies, and investments already in place to create a climate-resilient water system. To develop the portfolio, state agencies, including the California Natural Resources Agency, the California Environmental Protection Agency, and the California Department of Food and Agriculture, will identify and assess a suite of complementary actions to ensure safe and dependable water supplies, flood protection, and healthy waterways for the state's communities, economy, and environment. Listening sessions are being held throughout the summer around the state, and written comments have been requested by September 1st for consideration by the portfolio team. The agencies expect to release a draft set of recommendations this fall and then submit final recommendations to Governor Newsom before the end of the year. Staff is engaging with industry association efforts to provide input to the portfolio initiative through the Association of California Water Agencies and California Urban Water Agencies. Additionally, staff is developing a letter to be signed by the general manager to highlight the district's past successes and lessons learned in implementing an integrated portfolio approach to water management that may be informative to this statewide effort. Staff anticipates providing an update on this effort at the Water Resources and Conservation Committee meeting on August 28th, shortly before the comment deadline. And that's all I have on those 2 items.
Okay, if there are no quick questions, Mr. Wunderlich has some good news to share.
Sure. The procurement team was recently recognized by the National Procurement Institute with the Achievement of Excellence in Procurement Award. This is our 3rd year in a row of achieving this award, and it's earned by public and nonprofit agencies by demonstrating a commitment to innovation, professionalism, leadership, e-procurement, and continual improvement. Some of the things our purchasing office did during the past year to earn this award include implementing a new e-procurement system, leading the staff effort to develop the new procurement policy that was presented to the board last fall, and issuing a customer survey that included both internal and external customers to solicit feedback to support continual improvement. For 2019, nationwide, only 202 agencies, including only 39 special districts, earned this award.
Wow. Wow.
It's quite an accomplishment. It's fair to say that this isn't one of those awards where you simply pay and you receive the award.
39
Let's see
special
for
districts in
attendance.
the whole nation.
Well, just one other late
Are
breaking.
we going to put some kind of press on this out there?
We haven't looked at something specifically yet, but it seems like something where maybe a little side note in the fall aqueduct or something like that
Yeah.
may be appropriate.
Yeah. I would really try to highlight
the significance of being one of only 39 special districts in the entire country.
I think we'll figure out a few different ways to publicize the significance of the award. Social
Right.
media, the aqueduct,
Yeah.
maybe a press release.
We have some space in the Tri-City Voice.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. If I may, one more GM report item. Just wanted to inform the board that there were recent amendments made to AB 1580 by Assembly Member Mark Levine of San Rafael, and these amendments could impact any new Delta Conveyance project. In addition to other large infrastructure projects, what this bill would do is require a state agency undertaking a publicly funded major infrastructure construction project that is estimated to cost $1 billion or more, with the exception of transportation infrastructure, to form an oversight committee to act as the authority for critical decisions regarding the project, and to establish and implement a comprehensive risk management plan. So AB 1580 will be heard in the Senate Appropriations Committee next Monday, and Senator Wojtkowski is on that committee. With transportation projects excluded and high-speed rail no longer in the picture, frankly, this bill is aimed at Delta Conveyance. So ACWD authorized the state water contractors to oppose this bill just today, and they're sending a letter in.
What is that bill number again?
AB 1580. So with that, that concludes General Manager's report for this evening.
Okay, that good news. Director comments, agenda items? Director
There were
Weeds?
several. It was earlier this evening, it was at the start of the dedication to the new, groundbreaking for the new Civic Center in Newark. The poor humor is that if keep trying, eventually you'll get it right. They're putting a new city hall. Next, there was the bond ratings are absolutely extraordinary now. And we've seen a historic inversion. Today, the 20-year was inverted, and the 30-year was actually inverted in comparison to the recently reduced federal funds rate. Arguably, that's free money, historically. So to the extent that as we look at our financing over the next several months, and it takes anywhere from 3 months to a year to put together a financing package, depending on what type it is, there is a period of time here, and I would hope that if we did look at it, we'd look at ways on our legacy cost and our infrastructure. I'm not as excited at all about borrowing money for the regulatory-driven requirements of environmental and water reuse, etc. But we have, I believe we need to find a way to get some discipline on the replacement of our distribution system, and that may be one way to do it. Next, there have been an interesting parcel of land that's come on the market. It's called the N3 Ranch, over 50,000 acres. It is essentially the watershed for Deval. $72 million is the price tag. When you compare that to the $20 million that was spent by Zone 7 to purchase the 5,000-acre Patterson Ranch, it's in a relatively low cost. Portions of the ranch are within the San Francisco watershed, and they go beyond Alameda County and into neighboring counties. And I understand that San Francisco, which earlier this year purchased the 700-acre Wool Ranch in the Alameda County watershed and the Calaveras watershed, is looking with some interest at portions of this 50,000-acre parcel. I would hope that the water districts realize watershed is much better protected when it's owned by a water district than it is when it's owned by a park district, from operational and also abilities. There was a proposal at one which is published, when looking at Del Val, to build a dam at the upper end of the Del Val, existing Del Val reservoir, that would have flooded the N3 ranch. That proposal was viewed as being economically feasible, probably far more feasible than Los Vaqueros. So I would encourage us to South Bay Aqueduct contractors to look at this property, to identify any potential uses, talk to San Francisco and see what their interests are. We have Bosca, which is desperately seeking credibility by looking at becoming a water purveyor. There's some interesting things taking place in the land development that could be historic. This is property that's been in family ownership for almost 100 years. It doesn't come up that often, and we benefit from 15,000 acre-feet a year, and the local runoff to Del Val was zones, which we split, was Zone 7. Ownership of that watershed could impact those water rights. Next, we had to make a comment, maybe it's later, on the attendance of the board, so that would not be this issue, of this item. I attended a special districts meeting. Okay. We had a joint special districts meeting which Director Sethy and I attended with Alameda County and Contra Costa. It was in San Ramon, at one of their new recreation centers. The topics was on the census. The count will be on 1 April of next year. There were comments, but nothing specific about cooperation with the special districts and the people doing the census, whether that was both getting the information out and also verifying the data. I would personally encourage us to cooperate with the Census Bureau as best we can. If there's felt that there is an issue, then I'm certainly open to, as a board member, to meeting and convening to give whatever input is necessary. Found also interesting, I raised the question with the group of part-timers, that is there also part-time employment? These were all elected officials, being the part-timers. That the census will be paying up to $25 an hour for census workers, and is going on them out to try and find part-time people, particularly those who speak foreign languages, to help them in putting together the census.
That's the base pay in the Bay Area.
So, and that you do not have to be a citizen of the United to work for the census. In fact, there may be advantages in some communities that may be helpful. So. It's there, and there are some more federal and state positions which may be have been advertised recently for regional senior level support, which pay more than that. But the hourly wage of $25 an hour may be a wake-up call for all of us when it comes to trying to hire people. So, thank you.
Okay, I had two reports there. One is on the same joint Alameda County, Contra Costa County Special Districts Association meeting. My takeaway was we had two excellent presenters and two excellent lengthy presentations. Started early in the morning and ended right at noon. Lots of questions asked. We had 60 elected officials there from the two counties, and I collected the handout materials, which I passed along to Mr. Shaver. What they're really looking for is trusted agents out to the community. And many of the special districts, like water, are considered trusted agents who the community trusts if they are promoting what's going on with the census and trying to helpfully explain it. So they have a whole set of handoff materials which everybody in the county will use the identical messaging and promotional materials. And as I was suggesting at one of our committee meetings, we can essentially put together a calendar from September all the way through the time period with the census, with little reminders here, bill inserts, reminder in the aqueduct, things like that. So I do feel that ACWD has a part to play in the community outreach for having a successful census in our community. The other thing that really caught my attention was that they have these detailed census tract data on where the disadvantaged communities are, where they expect to have the hardest time in community outreach. And a lot of that, to me, after I was thinking about it, ties in directly into trying to help people at the lower end of our income scale with our rebate program and other things, discounts on their bill, because we can now precisely track down to street level who needs the most help. So I think it would behoove us to learn how to use that database a little bit better. All right. The second is the Delta Conveyance Finance Authority meeting. We had not met in 2 months, so there was a month that we took off. We had again an updated presentation from the Design and Construction Authority, from Catherine Mellon, the Executive Director, and she was nice enough to answer questions for all of the 11 directors on the Finance Authority. The rest of it was just administrative for legal, finance, budget, and some minor customary things that we had to do. I will note that as we're moving forward, and Ms. Heides was hearing the same presentation, that the Design and Construction Authority is planning on spending $320 million by the end of 2021, and they are moving into high gear. It's now a little bit more than a year since they took off last May, and this is full speed ahead as far as they're concerned. So they're staffing up. They're creating one of the largest, out of the blue, one of the largest employers in downtown Sacramento is being created with really high-level jobs. I mean, they're bringing in top-notch people from around the country, very high-income positions. They're already out surveying land. They've already contracted with commercial real estate firms. They're looking at eminent domain. They're hiring experts in the eminent domain field. Design work is ramping up. So by the end of 2021, we're going to have a very robust program, at least in the preliminary stages. And of course, we have to pay our fair share. So that's going to be spread out over the next 2.5 years as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's it for me on reports I had to make. But let me just comment on Director Weed's a couple of points here. I'm watching the financial markets every day too, and I just feel like we're at an even better point than we were in 2012 or 2015. And it does take, a good 6 months or more to put together a good bond package. And we know that the most sensitive time to go to market for municipal offerings is usually around the latter half of January going into February of every single year. It's just a repetitive pattern on Wall Street. And I think it would be really smart on our part to prepare like what I suggested in one of our workshops recently. Let's get creative here. Let's try to do something that explore some opportunities not customary to the bond market, where we could put together a 5-year or 7-year bond offering instead of the normal 3 years, and invest that in our main replacement program to cover all the capital costs there. $10 million a year or a little bit more. Put that on this low interest basis. And I agree with John. After inflation, this is essentially free money right now. And we're going to the state revolving fund on AMI. I think that's very smart too. That will reduce the interest rate by 50%. But when you're at the bottom of these kind of markets, you need to go out and capture that money for our ratepayers. And, you know, I'm looking at interest rates in other markets too. Spain is down to, you know, 0.5%. Italy is down, you know, below 1%. Germany is negative 0.55 on the 10-year mark. Japan is negative 0.20, close to it. So money around the world is becoming really cheap. And I would ask a little bit more formally than Director Weed, let's put this on the agenda for the Finance Committee. Doesn't have to be right away, but let's scope out what we might be capable of doing. And we don't have to go through. If the interest rate environment changes, then we'll just pull back. But if we can pull the trigger at the right time because we're prepared, then let's, you know, do it. And we've got the bond council, we have the right people to help us out. On that land tract,
if I may,
yeah.
Director Sethy, just to clarify, so I'm hearing 2 directors interested in this item. Would you like us to bring it back for the full board or go to the Finance Committee first?
I would prefer a discussion in the Finance Committee first.
Okay.
Maybe like September?
Okay, fair enough. We'll work with staff to do just that. Okay, I just wanted to confirm and also look in the eyes of other directors and just, I think we're good.
I think we need to have an exploratory conversation. What's possible, ideas from staff, you know.
Fair enough.
Pros and cons.
It may be time to actually have an initial preliminary discussion, since the next Finance Committee is almost 2 weeks away.
Right.
Speaking as early, we could have something in, at least an informal discussion coming up at the next Finance Committee.
You know, on this land sale, and I've been reading some into the details of it. It's the largest land sale in California. It covers 4 or 5 counties, right? 4. Okay. And at $72 million, I say to myself, what a bargain! You know, somebody needs to buy this property, and not some private landowner.
Or a park district.
Yeah, you know, the state of California, if I were somebody smart up in Sacramento, I'd say, let's buy that land. And there have been suggestions in the past, preserve most of the land, but put through a transit corridor from the Central Valley over to Silicon Valley. That would make a lot of sense. And I'm all for exploring whether multiple water agencies could acquire that land. There are very creative financing things that we could do if we were to partner with San Francisco, Zone 7, maybe Santa Clara, who knows. But $72 million, I think decades from now we're going to look back and go, wow, pennies on the dollar for what it will provide. And it's part of a master watershed outlook for all the districts.
So Staff is doing a little bit of preliminary reconnaissance to check out a few different things, but we will let the appropriate, we'll start with the appropriate committee and let you know.
Let me offer a suggestion, which goes back to something that former Mayor Gene Rhodes and taught me, longtime counsel of the Water District, which is go out, if you can, creatively, put down from the multiple water districts an option to buy. Just put down an option to buy so that you block anybody else from swooping in and getting that piece of property. If there's even the slightest interest on the part of these agencies, let's go in with a serious option to buy. Set it up for 5, 10 years or whatever it might be, but you'll pay a premium up front, but you will be able to have first priority over what goes on there in any negotiations.
May I interject here just for a moment that given that this is the watershed for Del Valle, part of the State Water Project, it could technically become part of the California Water Fix, to which a finance authority might have the ability to generate money.
Do you want me to make a proposal?
This sounds
Hold
like
on.
it's appropriate to be put on agenda for some other committee or back on the board.
Yeah,
So I would recommend that we move forward with that at some point.
Yeah,
and stop this.
my interpretation of this particular discussion is we will come back to the full board.
We're just commenting on what's going on in the broader news.
Understood, and it's okay to make short comments under director's comments, and those comments have been made.
All right, I'm done.
Do you have 7.2?
Okay, then you comment, you covered 7.2 already,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Further comments, questions? No. I'm surprised by the special districts. I never really thought much about it, but I would support if we could maybe come up with something in the aqueduct for the census. Interesting concept of trusted agency backing. I don't know.
Yeah, staff is just interpreting the request as a request to incorporate the interest of the census and the districts out in our outreach, and there's enough district interest that it makes all kinds of sense to do that.
Okay, I'd fully support it. So, I think then at this point we're finished with director comments, agenda item request, and
Item 8.
Item 8 first. Okay.
Right. So item 8 involves designation of ACWD real property negotiators for a slightly smaller piece of real estate than the N3 Ranch for potential sale of former Peralta well site property on Peralta Boulevard between Shin and Acacia Streets, APN 501-1278-002-02, and that's in Fremont, to Gopal Krishna Iyer, and Mr. Stevenson will have some additional comments.
Well, just to indicate staff's recommendation is to designate Judy Rotter, Development Services Manager, and Ed Stevenson, Manager of Engineering and Technology Services, as agency negotiators.
And are we requesting board action?
Yes.
You need to designate,
Yes.
yeah, the board needs to make that
By
designation.
motion.
Well, we have a staff request.
I'll make the motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Under discussion before we quick vote. This land was declared surplus when?
I think 2016, but I can get you that date shortly.
And does this include the Nichols home?
No.
No.
No, this is a small former well site right off Peralta Boulevard
Okay, right
near
on.
Bart.
It butts against houses, and I recall, so, okay.
Correct.
I know which one we're talking about now. Thank you.
No further comments, Director, Secretary call the roll.
Directors Huang,
Aye.
Akbari,
Aye.
Sethy,
Aye.
Weed,
Aye.
and Gunther.
Aye. Closed session, item 9.1, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to California Government Code Section 5495-6.8, property, former Peralta well site property on Peralta Boulevard between Shin Street and Acacia Street, APN 501-1287-800202, Fremont, California.
The agency negotiators are Ed Stevenson and Judy Rotter, and under negotiation is price and terms of payment. So with that,
Where we're going?
Go to closed session. Looks like we're all back, so let's, we ready to go back up? We'll open back up and report out from closed session. Mr. General Manager.
okay, I believe Mr. Stevenson will provide the report. We are we're doing open session again at 8:50 p.m.
7:50.
7:50, sorry, thank you. Should wear my glasses.
Okay, so pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, the board convened in closed session with agency negotiators Judy Rotter, Development Services Manager, and Ed Stevenson, Manager of Engineering and Technology Services, to discuss the price and terms of payment for the sale of the district's former Peralta Well site property on Peralta Boulevard between Shin and Acacia Streets, APN 501-1278-00202, Fremont, California. In closed session, a motion was made by Director Huang and seconded by Director Gunther to authorize the General Manager to enter into the purchase and sale agreement for the former Peralta Well site property, APN 501-1278-00202, with Gopal Krishna Iyer for the purchase price of $34,000, and to take all actions required to complete the sale of the property. The motion was passed 5-0. The purchase and sale agreement contains provisions for the sale of the property, which include the property description as approximately 3,235 square feet of land located off of Peralta Boulevard in the city of Union City, County of Alameda. The purchase price submitted by Gopal Krishna Iyer in the amount of $34,000. Instructions for escrow to be opened within 5 business days of the date of execution of the agreement by seller, and buyer shall have 30 business days from the date of full execution of the agreement to close escrow, and a 10 business day due diligence period from the date of escrow, the date that escrow opens, for the buyer to investigate and conduct studies of the property. A 20% deposit submitted with the offer will be deposited into the escrow account, along with all closing fees paid by the buyer. Disclosure that this is an as-is purchase, and the agreement includes standard representations and warranties by both buyer and seller. The agreement contains standard release and standard boilerplate provisions in real estate purchase agreements. And possession of the property shall be delivered to the buyer upon close of escrow and recordation of the grant deed. And that completes my report.
Closed session is closed. No further items. I'll declare the meeting over at 7:52, 53.